Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Well, the Minister of Education and Technical Education, Altahywy, kicked off the School Theatre Revival Initiative with the premiere of the play You Can at the Cairo Opera House. The breakout play was attended by the Minister for Sports and Youth and the Minister of Culture, along with the Governor of Cairo. The initiative's first play was made in collaboration with the Madrasetna educational media platform, which is part of the United Media Services conglomerate. The play featured 7 student talents who had been selected from 2,300 participants, applicants from different Egyptian schools, and trained by workshops director Batul Arafa. And to shed more light on this initiative, we are delighted to have with us Dr. Ibrahim Altahywy, the educational expert. Dr. Altahywy, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure having you always with us. Would you tell us more about the School Theatre Revival Initiative and its goals, sir?
First, I'd like to appreciate this great efforts of Dr. Altahywy, the Minister of Education. In fact, he exerts and is still exerting great efforts in the field of education, how to make it in a practical way. Because you know that in previous years before, we were suffering from what we call spoon feeding and theoretical, not practical way of education. So many years I can't forget one of the great ambassadors. He was talking about in 1960, okay, and about Jane Eyre as a play or as a novel when he acted it as a student. Up till now, he is an ambassador on my page, Facebook. I was attracted by his post on Facebook because I said 1960 used to do something like that, used to act some plays. In fact, here we have to focus on the gap. Okay, what was happening in the past and what happened 40 or 50 years, and now we try, as a Minister of Education, we try hard to return back to the education as it should be in a practical way. So can you imagine, and I think all the audience in front of me will agree with me when we say that any student, when he watch anything, he won't forget it. Yeah. That's okay? This is firstly. And in the field of education, when we tried to act or visualize or try to make some plays by William Shakespeare, for like Hamlet, like King Lear, like Macbeth, these plays, when they were acted by the students, you can't imagine how they are very, very happy, and in the same time they try to create, innovate, and this is what we want in the field of education, creativity. And I can't forget, as a trainer, a certified trainer, British Council, I give a whole session or training session called, with the headline of creativity. The aim of this headline or session was to not to train only or to instruct my colleagues who are teachers and inspectors in the field of education, whether in national institutes or private sector or governmental sector or experimental sector. We were talking and exchanging experience. What can you do, or what did you do as a teacher in the field of education to apply this headline, creativity? We like this point of view. So I'm really happy as an educational expert to find again, we are trying again to make some plays, to act, to let the chance for the students to try to express themselves. We need this. You can't imagine how they are happy, and when they express themselves, we here create a character who is capable of expressing himself, talking, has a freedom to imagine. Okay, so the point here of imagination, which some students lack, again we try to apply it, and creativity, innovation, all these items are very, very necessary in the field of education. So I'd like to thank again and appreciate the great efforts of the Ministry of Education with the cooperation of the Ministry of Youth, because here you can, yes you can, and in the same time with disabled, I don't want to say disabled, but special needs, you can't imagine how they have talents. And we saw many different characters who managed to do many important things in the field, not only of education, but in many fields.
Indeed, and the Ministry of Culture is also involved here. Yeah. So, Dr. Altahywy, the myth that the school theater program is a new idea, or is a myth, actually, because some dated back to 1936. So why was this idea neglected for so long
Yeah.
and then revived now? I mean, what's your explanation for this? It's very good to have it revived, but do you have an explanation for why it was neglected for so long? And how did that hurt the educational process, I guess?
Yeah, this point or indicates how education in the past was, and how after, as I told you, Excellency, 40 or 50 years came, and now we try to return back to education as it should be. So when we return back to education in the past, they didn't have facilities as we have now. Okay, it's a fact. But I can't forget, or I heard about some teachers who taught my parents, who taught my grandparents. They were used to have talents. They were talented. They didn't have, for example, master degree or PhD in the past, but in fact they were, I can't say they were expert teacher only, but they were talented. They had the creativity point of view. So when we return back, for example, to the age of Taha Hussein and this generation, how they were sitting on the ground to learn and to receive education, and how they used to be educated as it should be. Okay, so we found great characters, great men and women in the field of culture, in the field of tourism, in the field of education, in the field of many fields we found. But after that, I don't want to say that we lived a duration of unawareness of education, but this is a fact. This is what happened. So many generations passed in the field of education. We didn't achieve something which we can say that this is the Egyptian trademark. From this here program, Nile, I'd like to say that when I dream as in the field of education, when we can say that this happened in Egypt in the field of education, when can we say that it's enough? It's okay. It's due time to us. It's enough to say this happened in Japan, this happened in the United States of America, in China. When we say, or when can we say that this is a trademark or point of view or criteria coming from the educational Ministry of Education, for example? And I'm saying that because we have talented students who are able to achieve many progress, who are able to do something very important, but they need support. I'd like to confess that in the previous duration or years, we depended mainly on spoon feeding, passive learning.
So how can we make sure that this is going to stay? The initiative is going to stay. We have changed, and we're not going to have that gap again. And forget about such initiatives that aim to discover talents and develop skills.
Yeah, the secret here, I'd like to say that the secret will be the teachers themselves, because they are the base of the pyramid. Not only the Minister of Education, okay, or the President or Prime Minister are going to do anything themselves. Let's talk and speak frankly. Previous week, when I found, for example, a post on one of the experts in education, he is talking on many programs about education, I was frustrated. In fact, I was very unhappy when he said that researchers, for example, for students, which Dr. Altahywy applied and wanted all prep or primary students to make some researches, to make them think and search and find what's happening around the world. Can you imagine that one of these persons said, what is the value of this, something like that? In fact, I commented on his post and saying that when you say that as an educational expert and you are teaching in university and in the same time you are teaching in pre-university, so what did we leave for common people to say or to apply? In fact, I'd like to confess, I'd like to say that if nothing changed in the mind of teachers, nothing will be changing, nothing will happen. I say that in many training sessions, that I say that we have to change ourselves, we have to change our minds, we have to change our way of teaching. This is very important. So the Minister of Education, Dr. Altahywy, or any Minister of Education doesn't have, for example, what we say, the magic wand to exchange or to change anything around him. So teachers are the secret of changing in the coming era, in the coming duration. If they are interested mainly on private lessons, nothing will happen. So
Right.
we try that to do that, to change in many training sessions.
You mentioned earlier, Dr. Altahywy, the participation of children or kids with special abilities. Could you tell us more about their involvement in such initiatives? How
Yeah.
did you see their involvement in such initiatives?
In fact, it's very, very important, and we all see the due care of the president himself, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, when he started to let this great and variety of students to talk for the first time. We saw them, for example, in many conferences for youth for the first time in Egypt. Okay, they watched them how they have great talents, have the great abilities to express themselves. I can't forget, for example, one of the students, okay, I was dealing with. These students, most of his colleagues were mocking him, okay, or bullying him, because he has a disability. Okay, this is what we call maybe autism and something like that. But can you imagine what happened with this student? I tried to support him, and from this program I'd like to say that this is an initiative for teachers. Try to support them. Don't try to let others or students to try to bully them or try to mock them. What happened from Hazim, I can't forget his name. Hazim, he was one of the autistic students, and I discovered that he had a very, very important talent in technology. When he uses computer and mobiles and okay, I discovered that he can use it in a very quickly way, and in a very developing way. So I discovered that. I told him, I advised him, you have to read more and more, and you have to practice more and more. And now he is in the faculty of computer science, and at the same time he has yes, he has tried to make a program, okay, like Facebook or something like that, because he has an aim in life. I'm trying to support him, in fact.
Wonderful.
And I hope to travel abroad, because sometimes when we change the environment, we say sometimes we find a great different character. And this happened with Ahmed, for example. He's now in Switzerland. Ahmed also was one of these characters. One, I don't say this word, disabled,
people
but
with special
needs or a special
ability.
ability. So when I traveled to Switzerland and they changed the atmosphere, I found a totally different character. So from here, I'd like to say that we have to support, we have to complete the first thread from the president himself, because he gave due care. We have to complete, because he is not going to make everything himself.
Right. Finally, Dr. Altahywy, definitely such initiatives aim at discovering talents, talents in the artistic field. Other initiatives aim to discover in the academic field or in the sports arena. But you don't have to be a professional athlete or a professional artist to have such initiatives succeed. I mean, just raising the awareness, the intellectual awareness, or the cultural awareness, or the sports awareness of students, I guess in itself is a noble goal and good for society, isn't it?
Of course, yes. And here I'd like to say this short story, which happened actually, and it has a great and important message. This father, he was a great writer. This father was very busy, and he wanted to send away his son because he was busy, and he gave him a jigsaw of a map of the world. Can you imagine? The father thought that this boy will return after an hour or 2 hours and something like that. But for his surprise, he found that his son returned after only 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So he asked him, what did you do? How did you solve this jigsaw? Although it was, as I told you, Excellency, that it was about what? The map of the whole world. This son told his father that, my father, I found a picture or a photo of a man or a person in the back of the map of the world. When I changed it, okay, and put the parts of the man of the world and selected it together, okay, and tried to put the picture of a man in its right way, what happened? The whole world changed. So if we changed man, everything will be changed. This is the secret, and this
Wonderful.
is a very important message. Nothing
Indeed,
will happen
indeed.
without it changing what the minds of the man, and I mean here
Wonderful
by
story.
the
Yeah.
minds of man, teachers for the first aim, and after that students and so on.
Children always amaze you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
them,
Yeah.
and they continue to do so. Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim Altahywy,
I'm really
education
grateful. Thank you.
expert.
Thank
It's
you.
been a great
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you with us.
Many thanks for you.
Thank you. Dear viewers, please stay with us. Nile Cruise will resume momentarily.